This morning, about 4:14 a.m., shots were fired within a home on Spring Valley Road in Blanton's, right up the street here. The suspect is Dale Stover. His date of birth is 11/8/1934, makes him 87 years of age. He had shot at family members within the home. The family then evacuated out of the house. Dale went into the bathroom, barricaded himself in there. We were able to respond with negotiation team, mental health team, numerous deputies. Try to start having conversations with him, try to get him out of the house. For the victims, we were able to get victim assistance up there, victim advocates to be with them, to support them through this traumatic time. Throughout the day, we were slow and methodical in what we were doing, trying to have a peaceful resolution to the situation. Around 11:17 a.m., we had a team, there was negotiators, several deputies that were behind, they're holding a shield. At that time, behind that shield, there's still dialogue with our suspect, Dale Stover. At that time, they're trying to get him to, come out, talk to them. They're actually trying to, figure out a way that they can have better communication and show them that they were trying to be there peacefully. At that time, Dale fires around through the bathroom window and strikes the shield which our deputies are holding. In any type of situation, we're always trying to find that peaceful resolution, that peaceful time where we get together and just say, end this so that we can all go home to our family members. And God always will work in mysterious ways. And today, He wanted to make sure that those deputies went home to their families. He wanted to make sure that they were back there with their kids, with their spouses. For the victims that were within the home, we were able to get them out. So he fires at the deputy. We have the shield. There is a round in that shield. They were able to pull back a little bit to a safe location. We then called SWAT in to be in the situation to surround out. And so even though he fired at us, training kicked in, our policies kicked in. So we surrounded it. We kept the house surrounded. SWAT went out there. We kept having negotiations with them. Those negotiations went on till roughly around 1:33 p.m. where the suspect gave himself off and turned himself in and said, let's end this. And so it goes back to the fact that, we try to, make sure those situations are peaceful. We try to do everything we can in our power that everybody goes home safely. But this is one of those situations where somebody fired around at us. And, we could have been justified and fired back. We could have been. At the same time, it's because of positions, because of the situation, they didn't take that shot. But this is the dangerous world that we live in right now. This is the world where, law enforcement officers are being shot at, family members are being shot at. This is those scary situations. It could have been one of those situations early on, had the family not pulled out, that it was one of those domestic violent suicide, where it's a murder-suicide situation. We've seen way too many of them in our region and our county. So this is where we keep going back to it, that, from a law enforcement standpoint, we are dealing with issues with domestic violence situations, where these people are committing very violent crimes. The suspect gave himself up, but he's still being charged with numerous crimes. One is one felony count of attempted aggravated battery, 1 count of shooting into an occupied dwelling, 5 counts of attempted homicide on law enforcement officers. So he's going to face some serious charges. And so, we're out here today talking about this because, when you're shooting at a family member, when you're shooting at law enforcement officers, this is extremely scary. These are the situations our members put themselves in and day out. And so, for our community, we have that saying, we fight as one. That's we as an entire community. That's all of us. And know that your law enforcement officers are out there. We are the ones that are going to make sure you're safe. And for those family members, they're in those tough situations, where violence goes on, those things happen, please reach out to groups like Sunrise Domestic Violence Shelter. We want to be able to find a way to resolve these situations and stop these situations before they happen. So with that being said, is there any questions, anything I can answer at this time? 3. For the 3 members that they have. I could say, yeah, it was unbelievable restraint. It was unbelievable training that kicked in. It is. We go through that training. We go through that restraint. But at the same time, understand is that if their lives are in danger and they feel like they are going, if they do not return fire, they will not live, or they will not be able to save somebody else's life, they had that ability to do that. So, I go back to it, I applaud them for what they do. I applaud all our members for going into the worst case scenarios to save people, to try to resolve this so the guy comes home, guy goes to jail, he may, face criminal charges, he will, and what happens there? But we wanted everybody to go home peacefully. At the same time as, yes, it was unbelievable restraint. But at the same time, if they had to fire because they wanted to protect their fellow deputies or somebody else, that's what happens in this profession. And so that's why I say it was a very tough situation, but I say our deputies, day in and day out, act admirably.
Your deputies ever been to this address before? And is this suspect known to law enforcement?
There was no criminal history. We saw in the individual, they're still going through everything. There was nothing criminal in his past. This is one of those things, an 87-year-old man, lived his life, has been living his life, no real interactions with law enforcement, and so it was a situation we don't think he had any prior interactions with us.
Has he cooperated since? Has he spoken to investigators about what might have prompted him to overpower his own loved one?
We don't have no motive at this time. We haven't, they're still talking to him, finding out what's going on, why he got into a fight with his family members. He had relatives that were in, talking to him, trying to help him out as he's, moving on in life and trying to figure out what would be best for him in the future. And he just decided at that point, he was aggravated, he was upset, and he pulled a gun out. But I go back, this is a situation that, we're experiencing in the Tampa Bay, at rare numbers. The fact that, people are, killing a family, a love member, and then turning the gun on themselves or harming themselves. I go back to it, and I don't know, I'm not speaking on this case in particular, but I'm just speaking in general. There is a mental health crisis that's going on, and this mental health crisis is causing people to become more violent. This mental health crisis we're seeing is causing these type of episodes to occur. So I go back to it. I don't know the mental state of mind of this individual, the suspect from today, but I can tell you, there has to be a direct correlation between the fact that there is a mental health crisis, not only in our community, but we're seeing it across our state and our country, and the fact that violence is going up.
Are you able to share relationships and members, and was he living at that address at this time?
I can say he was living at the address. Unfortunately, due to Marcy's law, I can't release, the direct relationship because I announced his name.
And just again, because no one from your agency fired, this will remain under investigation for your agency, not entity or someone else. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. If our members had fired shots, yeah, we would have had Florida Department of Law Enforcement come in, a strong partner of ours. But at the same time, since he's the one who fired shots, then we'll handle his case.